Hello, I'm Kyle.
And I'm Connor.
We are 10th grade students that attend school on Fisher's Island.
For our English class, we are creating a podcast to share immigrant stories and allow them to share their stories with their own voices.
An immigrant is a person who moves to a foreign country with the main intention to reside there permanently.
And refugee is a person who is forced to leave their country under certain circumstances, including but not limited to persecution, violence, etc.
Today, we are with Mr. Lucas Costa, who will be sharing his own story of immigration to America. Hello, we are here today with
Lucas Costa.
Mr. Lucas. We're just going to ask, how's your day going today?
Day's going great.
What's your favorite food you really like?
Oh, I'm a big fan of Brazilian food. I love my rice and beans, and I also like my picanha. That's a Brazilian style of meat cooking, which is really good. If you ever go to a Brazilian restaurant, ask for picanha. That's good stuff.
Sounds really good.
Yeah, it does. People immigrate to the United States for many different reasons. This could include wanting a better life and job opportunities, or they could be forced to immigrate here due to challenges and inadequate social representation. The challenges and personal stories immigrants have is important to share to help improve our immigration process. Mr. Lucas Costa in this section describes his challenges and his story about his immigration to the U.S.
It's a little bit of a story. So I was 19 years old when I came to America. My father had a tire shop in Brazil, and one day I was working in my tire shop. A police car drove by. They asked me about a price on tires and stuff, and they drove away. And at the time, we had a bunch of clients that have big trucks, and those big truck drivers, they don't usually pay for the service. So they have a slip that they sign, and at the end of the month, you go and collect at their office. So they don't deal with anything to do with money. And the time was for going to collect. Obviously, as a tire shop worker, I was always dirty. And this day, I went to collect, and as I was pulling into their driveway, the same police officers that were just in my tire shop, stopped me on my bicycle. And at that time, they didn't ask for my documents or anything, because that's the one thing in Brazil. If you're a teenager, you always have to walk around with your identification. And they came up and they said they saw some suspicious activity. And the only thing I had in my pocket was my wallet and my phone and the slips for collecting the money. They started beating me up right up against the wall. It was actually a metal gate all across the patio where they used to put the trucks, and they started beating on me. I said, "Why are you beating on me?" He says, "Well, you're getting a police shakedown." I said, "Why am I getting a police shakedown?" He said, "Well, you're suspicious." For what? What did I do? And at that time, my parents were living here, and I tried talking to their superiors. I tried talking to somebody. I don't want to live in a country that the police officer is not here to protect and serve. So that was my decision. That was the breaking point where I decided I don't want to live in a country like this. And after that, I started getting my stuff ready to come to America.
Is there anything you miss from your home country?
Yes. The thing I miss the most is family. We are a very warm family. My family I call us the bee's nest. We're always together, and you can't mess with one person, or everybody's going to come after. So we're tight, really tight. I try to go as often as I can to visit them, but it's not that simple. I guess all the changes that were made, it was probably just for the better, 9 months, bought my first car. So all the changes, they just came very welcoming in my heart, because I was ready for change at the time. So I think all the changes I've made were mostly positive.
So how did you end up at Fisher's Island?
I used to work for a company which my father worked for, and my father worked for this guy since '93. So we go way back since my dad came to U.S. and then he left to Brazil. And we had a long relationship with this company, Ziegler and Associates, and he had a bunch of associates that worked for him. And at the time, he had this painter He did all the taping and painting, all the sheetrock installation also for this guy. His name is Fabricio. And Fabricio's been telling me for years, Lucas, I got this great company on the island that you should come work with us. I said, nope, you don't have enough work for me on the island because I'm a hard worker. And when I start doing something, I hyper focused and I just go. I don't stop. Anybody that knows me and my crew here on the island knows that we get stuff done, and we are fast and we are accurate. We love what we do, so we don't care about hours. So we work until our bodies say, well, it's time to stop. And we enjoy it. And this guy Fabricius was saying, Lucas, come see this guy. He's got a lot of work and he's in need of a carpenter and you fit right in. And I said, oh, Fabricius, okay, I'll humor you. And then I came here to visit one day, and this guy had a kitchen job over here. And I went and looked at the job, gave him a quote, and he accepted the quote. And we came, did that one job, and they liked our work. And they said, oh, can you do this other job? Sure. And we started doing a lot of jobs. And at the time, I was doing a lot of work in Manhattan. I lived in Danbury. I was doing a lot of work in Manhattan. And I was starting to get tired of driving. Because I was leaving the house a lot of times at 5 in the morning and coming home at 8 or 9 p.m. But I was only able to work 8 hours because of traffic. I was on the road for like 6 hours a day just driving because of traffic. And that was starting to build up, and I was so anxious and tired. And when these jobs started happening, I said, well, that's going to be a break for a little bit. And then Ziegler, the guy that I worked for, he was getting ready to retire. And he retired a couple of years later. I think he retired in 19. And by 2019, we had a lot of work here. And I was not doing only little jobs. And at the time I started, ZNS had a framing crew. They were building the houses, and I was doing the trim and doors installation, all the interior trim installation, and decks as well. So when I started working here, they started liking my work. And the one thing that made them happy is that as the crew boss, I was always here. And most of his subcontractors, they would send the crew here, and they always had somebody taking care of the crew that didn't even speak English. So that started bothering them a lot. And at one point, Tom Shiloh came to me and said, Lucas, I got a project for you. Would you be interested in framing this house? I said, well, show me the project and I'll see what I can do. And it was actually his own house. So at the time, I was a little scared because I never had framed a whole house together. I've done a lot of framing jobs, but I never framed a whole house together. Yes. And it was very scary for me because I had started my business in 2015, 1 year after I came back from Brazil, from getting my papers. And we did build Tom's house. And after that, he ended up not hiring the other contractor anymore because he always had to have a supervisor on top of that crew, making sure they're doing the right things all the time. These guys couldn't even read plans. And that made it very hard for building. And I could read the plans. I could communicate well with the architects. They gave me the architects' information, and I was emailing them back and forth and texting and making sure everything went according to plan. And after that, jobs just kept coming, and bigger and bigger and bigger projects, and I just kept taking them in. They send me work, and I just keep taking it. And at one point, I said, "Oh, it doesn't even make sense for me to live in Connecticut anymore." So we decided to move in here in 23, and my son Benjamin was born January 24, and we've been here officially as residents for like 3 years now, and jobs just keep on coming. Yeah, and I have openings for carpenters.
Oh, yeah. I might do it.
I do it.
Yeah.
It's a good trade.
Yeah. I know that I really like doing the design things and stuff too.
You like designing?
Yeah.
So if you go to school, you can, learn, read plans, to make plans, and all that stuff is really good. You could always become an architect too.
Oh, yeah.
Work on a few years, then become an architect, and then you'll be so valuable.
Thank you for your time today, Mr.
Yes.
Lucas.
It was a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for listening to our podcast. We would like to thank Mr. Lucas da Costa for letting us interview and hear his story about his immigration to America. We're doing this podcast on the basis of the book we are reading in our English class called The Kite Runner. The Kite Runner was authored by Khaled Hosseini.
The Kite Runner is about a kid named Amir. Amir and his father were first to leave Afghanistan and had to adjust to their new environment, similar to how Mr. Lucas da Costa described. Again, thank you for listening to our podcast and allowing us to share Mr. Lucas da Costa's immigration story.